I just did a meditation or nap or whatever that was, and I saw my grandfather from my mother's side. He was laying in bed and he passed away, by the way, like many years ago. And I was holding his hand and he was just like looking into my eyes. And I could just feel how proud he is of me, of the work that I'm doing, the ancestral work that I'm doing. I just could feel he was just like looking really deep into my eyes, and I was looking into his, and we were like blessing each other, like really feeling the moment. It literally just happened, and I decided like I really wanted to come on here and talk about it because like there was a few things that came to me around it, around doing ancestral work in the past. I don't even know, I don't have a sense of time. But anyways, it's been coming up a lot. There's a lot of different shadows that kind of been creeping up lately, like really kind of coming up to the surface. And one really big thing that came for me is really seeing that my relationship with doing ancestral work is not a healthy one. It's like my relationship with doing ancestral work and work on generational trauma, generational programming and all that is like very, I have to do it, like very like intense, which I've noticed also before in the past, but it comes in different way and with different layers and in different flavors. And I've realized like that there's a lot of sense for me at the bottom of everything of not enoughness, lack of acceptance of myself. There's a lot of like intensity with doing the healing work and this like spiritual work that I'm doing. And don't get me wrong, I love doing it. I absolutely came here for that and I'm going to continue to do it. There's a sense of super unconscious of it, but I really need some acknowledgement. I really need some acknowledgement from my ancestors, from my spirit guides. I've had my phase with humans like around me and my mom and my dad, and obviously I believe it's still there somewhere, but this specific wave is specifically geared towards my ancestors and my spirit guides. Like I want to know that they're proud of me, and it's almost like a sense of like that I'm telling myself the story that if I'm not doing this work and if I'm not like really healing all of these trauma and all of these wounds, then there's a message, an unconscious message of I'm not good enough. And there's a lot of things that kind of came, like related to it, and I really kind of want to share where I'm at and like what I'm seeing in my own journey, and maybe you can resonate with some of these things. Maybe not, that's fine. Maybe some of it you really resonate, maybe some like not. But I really want to say real quick, I want to invite you to a journey that I'm doing with my friend Paige. It's a journey to connect with your higher self, where it's going to be guided visualization with energy healing, with holographic sound healing and light language activations. It's designed to help you to connect with your higher self and then receive guidance, messages, support, whatever you want or need from your higher self. And we have it in person in Austin, Texas. But we're also going to have availability for you to join online. So I'm going to link the tickets in the description below. I would love to see you either online or in person. It's going to be on October 19th. The thing I really wanted to share about what's kind of been coming up is there's a lot of sense of like not enoughness, and like I really, really need to do all these things in order for me to be enough. And there was a point that my body was like putting like a stop sign in front of my face and said, enough is enough. You have to stop. You have to slow down. You have to slow down. This is too much for me. I can't take it. That's when I really realized, like, because literally some health issues came up for me. Nothing too serious, but it's enough for me to understand that what is happening. Because, as I mentioned in previous videos, is if something is coming up in my body, whether if it's like a certain pain, a certain feeling, maybe stress, anxiety, or literally a health issue, there's something that's happening that my body is trying to communicate with me, and I really need to like listen and open my ears and stop everything and listen. And so there's a lot of things that came up for me around like doing all these things, still coming from like a wounded place of I want acknowledgement, I want to feel enough. Like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be enough. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna be enough. I really, obviously, I'm still obviously in it, and it's a big piece of my journey right now of I really want to feel enough without necessarily needing to do anything or show up in a certain way. For a long time, coming from where I came from, and obviously it's like a lot of generational programming and society programming, I thought that if I'm gonna work out really hard and if I'm gonna look this way, I'm gonna be enough, and maybe I'm gonna find love. If I'm gonna eat this very strict diet and I'm gonna be healthy and I'm gonna look good, then I'm gonna be enough. Then later in my journey, I was able to drop those two, and I was kind of very extreme about it. And then it came into play with work. If I have to be successful, I have to work really hard to be successful, because then I'm going to be enough. So same type of pattern, different area in life. Same thing happened later with my healing journey. I have to heal as much as I can. Same with my spirituality. I have to evolve so I can be enough. And something that came up for me around this idea is, and it's also something that is so deep, that was so deep in my shadows, and it's something I actually started working with around a year and a half ago, around this idea of being better than. Either it came up for me in the past, like how this like thought that obviously I know, like in my mind, that it's not true, because I know how we're all humans, we're all the same, we're all like pure consciousness eventually. Like I'm aware of this, I felt it, but then there's like a still program that I could feel in my being, it's in my energetic body, that believes that I am better than others. I am better than others because of this is where I came from, this is what I've been through in my life, this is where I came from, and this is where I'm at today. So it was mainly for me around these types of stuff. And so that's something that I kind of dealt with, about a year plus ago. And now I'm still noticing that this hierarchical idea like is still kind of related with like this enough-ness. And I'm really noticing like this desire, this like strong desire to be better than others, to be more evolved, to do all of this like work so I can be better. And grant me, I know it doesn't make sense, but there's still a programming that runs in the background, super unconscious, that makes me, I have to do more. And again, like a lot of pieces came to me in the past, but I feel like it just comes in different layer and different flavors, and I'm also in a different place, and like almost like now it's registering very different than it was in a year ago. So I really am curious. I want you to share if you are feeling sometimes any of these things, if you're noticing like a program that runs in the background that's telling you either that you're better than others, or that is telling you that you're less than others, that others are better with you. Because I honestly think it's like the same thing. It's like the same thread, two different edges, but it's like the same idea, like this hierarchical thing. I feel like this is something that's really, really like a really strong program that runs in our bodies as humans. So I'm really curious to know, let me know in the comments. A lot of this kind of came to my field in the past 3 weeks, and it's all came to me, as I showed in my previous video, after I processed a lot of sexual trauma. And processing all of that and a lot of things, it kind of led me to this place. Like it was a lot on my physical body, whether it was the sexual trauma specifically that I was processing, or a lot of other things that kind of came on the surface in the past few months. And it was just, my body was just like telling me this is a bit much for my physicality. I also realized like how even when I was asleep, I was working. I literally would go to sleep with the intention of healing my body, or with the intention of healing my sexual trauma, okay? Even when I was meditating, I was working. I was going, obviously, like, not on purpose, it's just kind of what came. It's like I was going into like different places and doing healing here and doing healing there. And like, I've been meditating every day, I've been sleeping every day, and like, sleeping, 8 hours a night, and always doing, always working, always like doing something. A big realization for me around that is that I haven't been like resting really, and so in the past couple of weeks, I've been really taking the time to just like really slow down and really rest, and really being, when I lay outside in the sun every day, just purely laying outside and truly feel my like earth underneath me. Like that's where it's at. No more going and doing stuff. Just like pure being is something that I've been practicing. And so I really feel like that's like a big lesson for me right now, which is really, really important on our physical body, especially if you're someone who help clients, like help other people do this work, or healing, or spirituality, like something that takes a lot of energy, something that, I mean, honestly, when you're interact with other people in general, but especially if you're helping others, and also if you're doing work yourself, it is something that is super crucial for us as people who are doing the inner work to take time to rest. Another thing that's been coming up is also this idea of the healing journey and how endless it is. When you're getting into like healing journey, in the beginning, a lot of times you'll start with, oh, I just want to heal my childhood trauma. Maybe I want to learn how to communicate better. Maybe I have an addiction that I want to heal, that I want to work on. This is how it starts. But when you really go in there, especially if you kind of go all in, you'll find that it's never going to end, because there's more, because it goes so far back. I have chills. It goes, again, I say it every single video, it goes so far back, generations and generations and generations, and society and collective and past lives, and it's just like a lot. You can't really get to a place where you just like healed, when you healed everything from everywhere, that even just the things that are affecting you in this lifetime, that you're obviously your current lifetime. My aunt, she's my spiritual guide, she's my mentor, she always talks about the healing journey versus the awakening journey, and she says how the healing journey, a lot of times we can find ourselves in an endless cycle, because there is a sense, or like an energy of like always fixing something, always trying to fix something, always trying to fix the person. So, and there's a lot, I may do like a whole YouTube video about the healing journey versus the awakening journey, but I love working with those two together. I think they're both really important, obviously, and obviously she thinks it so too, but like for me, like the awakening journey is where you are basically come back to yourself, and you remember and you realize that you are already whole. You're already whole, you're already perfect just the way you are, and to really practice feeling enough in that. I honestly am so like blown away of the amount of work that I've done that eventually took me to this place of really just wanting to feel enough in where I'm at. Like, this is what I am working on right now. I'm going to continue to do all these healing, and I'm going to continue to work on my ancestral line, because again, I enjoy it, but I want to build a healthy relationship with doing it. And when I mean build a healthy relationship with doing it, is to work through something whenever the energy is present, whenever something is arising, whenever something is moving through me, whenever something is coming to me, learn how to have a relationship with it, dance with it, let it move through me, and continue on with my life, not feeling that because I did this, it makes me better now, or because I healed this part of myself and I don't feel, look at the paradox. Because I healed my relationship with being better from others, if I healed that and now I don't feel better than others, I feel better about that. Like, so you see how it's like a cycle that like never ends. It's just an example. It can be in obviously every area. How can we like learn and how can we embody this idea that we are enough, that we are whole, that we are perfect just the way we are, and there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to fix. For me personally, it was revolving a lot around remembering, like remembering. So the sentence that my aunt says a lot is learn to return and train to remain. So you learn to return to the truth because honestly, we've forgotten the truth. We've forgotten who we are. And my analogy is like when we die, like when we die from this physical realm, we actually wake up. In my body, it feels really true. And I've also seen it somewhere now that I'm thinking about it. And when we are born into this reality, you know, as a human being, we forget everything. We basically going into like a deep sleep mode. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can remember while you're in a human body. You can remember what the truth of where you, and the truth, I just really want to say, because I mentioned that a few times before, and it's so important. The truth is like this deep knowing in your entire freaking being. It's like you see it in your mind's eye. You see it in your third eye. You see the truth. You feel the truth. You just freaking know it. You receive all the, like a huge chunk of information. It feels like there's no way I could make this up. There's no freaking way I could make this up. And there's only like I had two moments like that when I had like this huge like remembering. There's no way I could remember it if I didn't have those like specific awakenings. Otherwise, probably when I'm dying, like when I die, I'll probably remember, which that's really how I see it. This is just the way I view it and like what feels true for me. So you can obviously, I actually want to invite you to kind of feel what feels true for you, like really to connect with your body and like really feel, because the stories in our minds can always like tell us like this is BS, it's not true, it's kind of crazy talk, and it's because of our programming. So I also want you to acknowledge that if you're noticing like skepticism, if you're noticing like something that is telling you like a story from your mind, this is crazy. Like, I just want you to acknowledge that it may be a programming. So just like inviting you to step a step back and just like map what's happening, like what's going on. Is it like something, do I have a resistance for it? Maybe there's some fear that comes up about that. Maybe, how does it feel in terms of like, do you feel like there's a thought, like there's a story about it, or does it feel true in your body? Like, how does it feel in your body? I always really like to invite you to feel into yourself and really see what kind of lands for you. And the truth doesn't have actually any fear in it. Like, it's not a story that an old guy in the corner told me about where I'm from and what I need to do, and like the story that I received from the programming that goes from generations and generations. Like, for example, me, I came from a extreme Orthodox, pretty much cult in Israel, and I share about it a lot. And to me, those types of religions that are very much like fear-based, and it's like a story that's so deep ingrained, that's like programming. And then we are embodying those programmings as humans. And so what happens is like, what I found, having those awakenings is like, the truth has no fear in it. It's only unconditional love. It's so empowering. The truth is telling you that you are a sovereign being, that you are a sovereign creator, that you are a powerful, multidimensional being. And a lot of these messages from like religions, they tell you you have to be this way in order to be loved. If you're not going to be this way, you're going to go to hell. If you're not going to follow this, this will happen. All of that is not true because it's fear-based. All of that is programming, negative programmings that goes way, way back. It's very controlling, it's very fear-based, it's very disempowering, okay? So when you receive messages from society, from whatever, even if you have like, you're not sure if like you are connecting with your spirit guides, or if your mind is telling you story, if you're not sure about that, if it's messages of fear and disempowerment, it's probably a programming, it's probably a belief. It's not the truth. It's not your spirit guides are not gonna give you messages of fear and control and all of that. Same thing with like the society, the world around you. Just kind of tune in and see. Again, you don't have to do it. It's just all welcomed. I'm just inviting you to notice, where do you notice like a fear-based message or like a controlling or disempowerment, and where do you see a message that is empowering, that is infused with unconditional love? And unconditional love it's not the love that we know as humans. It's love that is energy, it's the fabric of infinite. And that unconditional love is so different, so much more powerful than the love that we know as humans. Because a lot of the love that we know as humans, it's very conditional. Even with our kids. If like I am a mother and I have a son, of course, I don't want to say like, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, you don't love your son unconditionally. But what I mean is, like, you love him unconditionally because he's your son. I feel like a lot of times, like the love that we familiar as humans is conditioned. I love you because you're my mom, or I love you because you're my best friend. But if you are just like a person in the street, would I love you? Same way, just like unconditionally. And honestly, like when you're getting into this work, especially, working with the chakras, when you really coming up to your heart chakra, that's where you can really start tapping into that type of love. The quote unquote lower level love, it's something that is more conditional, and that's more in our sacral chakra. Sacral chakra is the second energy center, and it's associated with our one-on-one relationships, sexuality, intimacy, sensuality. This is where is like the lower level of that love, the kind of love that we're more familiar as humans. And the heart chakra is this universal unconditional love that is like an energy. And that energy can transmute. It's something I work a lot with my clients in sessions. If there's a part that we're working with that we really get to know, and it's kind of ready to go, with obviously love and care. Only if it's ready to go, we always ask. There's a relationship that's being building. If that part gets to a place where it says, I need your help, I want you to help me, then we're bringing in the unconditional love and it transmutes. It literally, like, the unconditional is the most powerful energy in the universe, the most powerful power in the universe. When you bring it into like a pain, whether if it's physical, emotional, mental, it transmutes. It's like it's nothing. The remembering is really remembering that we are all the same. A lot of people talk about the oneness and all of that, but there's difference in understanding it in the mind and really feeling it and embodying it like a deep knowing. These things that I'm talking about, it's bigger than the brain. It's nothing that we can find in the brain. It's not in the brain. It's not there. So if you do hear that voice in your brain that's saying, oh, I'm not sure, that's okay. That's fine. You can, I mean, if you want, I'm inviting you to be curious about that voice. What is the drive behind that voice? Is that trying to protect you from something? Is that trying to maybe keep you small because it's safe? Maybe there's something around self-worth. Maybe I'm not worthy of this type of power. I'm not worthy of being that type of vast, infinite being. There's a belief because of the trauma or because of the stories that were put onto you, whether if it's from the society or from generations before. There's a belief that's kind of put onto you and you're kind of carrying it on your back. Maybe there was something like that. So I just want to invite you to kind of look what's behind it. When I talk about this like remembering who we are, the image I had in this like awakening, I'm going to try to explain it, but again, it's bigger than the brain. So it's nothing like, actually, I'm going to show you. There's like this one truth. And the reason why I'm like drawing it like wide is because it feels wide. We are all it. And when I say we are all it, I mean humans, us as humans, animals, bugs, trees, the earth, planets, the stars, everything is that one truth, right? Everything is that. We're all it. What happened is that when we are coming into a human body and we are born into a family, it's not necessarily just our family line, but it's like the collective. There's a lot of traumas, there's a lot of programmings. And so what happens, all of these programmings took us like way out. And it's like the image I have, it's like this. Like it took us way out, and like it's like endless, and it's like very pointy. It's like endless of things, endless of directions, that's so far from this truth, so far. It's like, whoa, what? And bunch of like these, like tons, you know, and I see all of these like pointy things, it's like programmings. It's like the programming is going so far out of the truth. And so when we are deprogramming the programming, and in that process of remembering, in what I had in the awakening, it's literally going back in the programming, going back into the truth. Okay? Going back in the programming into the truth. So the image I had, I don't know if that makes sense. It's like really chaotic, but the image I had, it's like this adjustments. It's like, this is the one truth. And it's like this adjustments, and you kind of bring it back. Like you come back to the truth. It's like one clear line, and you have to kind of come back to it with like this process. Like this is the image that I had. And I was feeling into it, especially the second time that I had it. And I was like, this feels familiar. I remember it. Like it feels, feels like a very, very, very distant dream. It's like this motion of coming back to the truth. This motion feels familiar to me. Like I've felt it somewhere. I felt it somewhere. And so like this motion is something that I know, that I felt it many, 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 many times. And I don't know if it was when I was alive in a human body, or maybe that's happened when I died in parallel lives or whatever. But it's like, it felt familiar to me. And I was like, I don't know anything else in our reality that demonstrate that feeling, like that kind of coming back with like the adjustments, kind of coming back. And it's like, and then it's funny because like another image I had in was how much like food that is programmed is like the same thing. It was, okay, this is a good example because it happens with food that it's programmed. So imagine that we have a potato, okay, potato. This is the real thing. It's the real thing. It's like the potato. Pretty straightforward, a potato. And in order for you to become a potato chips, especially from like the really unhealthy kind, the amount of programmings that it needs to go through in order to become a potato chips is insane. Insane. It's like potato chips and potatoes, it's like, it's the same thing, but it's like, wow, you went really far from who you are, you know? And so it's a good example, because I literally saw the image, like this is actually what happens to food. Like a lot of the food in our culture and like in the food system, food that is so programmed and is so far from the source and so far from what it is, it's basically food that was going through programming. In other words, processed food. What happens when we get to this truth that we are? There is a certain alignment that's happening, first of all, within us, within our bodies, within our own physical bodies, but also as a collective, as human species. Because the more of us that are going to basically remember this truth, the truth that like what we are, where we came from, and how far we've gone from the truth of who we are. Obviously, every single person, there's so many different things and different traumas and different programmings, like from your own lineage, from your own race, from your own different culture, different country, different family, different religion. The bottom line, where we all came from, is here. And when I say all, I mean all of us. Even those who are really, really, really bad people that are doing horrible things in the world, they also came from this. They also it, but they forgot so far out, totally forgot who they are. There's so much pain that happens in the world. If it's war, if it's killing, if it's, sexual abuse, if it's just so many things. And it's just really what it comes to show is like how far we've gone as humans, how far we've gone from the truth of who we are, how far we've forgotten. And yet there's still all of these things around us that is just there. The trees, the water, the fire, the earth, the air. It's all that same thing. And it's literally right here. It's everywhere. But we, in our own experience from the inside, we forgot so much. We went so far. I also really believe that our soul is choosing if to remember or not for a different reason, because we have different paths. Or honestly, if you watched until here, if you're still here watching it, you're probably like, you feel the curiosity. There's something in your soul that's like pulling you towards it. There's something in your soul that's like, wow, this feels true. This feels interesting. I feel drawn to this for some reason, even if you can't make sense of it. Even if your mind is telling you this is fucking crazy, Hannah lost her mind, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But if you're still here, it's probably your soul that's like feeling that pull. That's like, ooh, what is that? There's like a certain curiosity that's happening. So I just want to invite you to notice like what's happening underneath the surface. Even though your mind may tell you things that are totally not in alignment with what I just literally said. So I just wanted to kind of come on here and share all of this. Honestly, like I had an idea to make this a very short, quick video, but then it ended up this way. And I really like when it's going this way because it's like just kind of authentic, like kind of like what's coming up. I wasn't going to go this deep, but maybe I can expand on this, in future videos. Let me know in the comments if you would be interested in that. And if you are feeling the pull, if you're feeling curious, if you're feeling like, okay, there's something that's interesting to me about it. I feel like even if your brain still tells you like, this is nuts, this is insane, that's okay. I really want to invite you to look in the description below, and I have my website there. There's a client application to fill out where you can fill it out and see if we're a good match energetically. But I don't want you to just do it because I just said it. I want you to really feel in your body, like really feel if you can feel like a certain pull, if you can feel a certain curiosity about what is this? It's interesting to me. And then if you do it. But if not, then don't do it, because this is how, I also work with the energy, and I know and I believe that the right people are coming to me, working with the energy. I don't necessarily want everybody to come to me. So if you don't feel that curiosity, if you don't feel that pull within you, that's totally fine. Maybe not now, maybe later. As you know, I work with the chakras. So the chakras are the 7 main energy centers that are in our body. Of course, there's way more than 7, but these are the 7 main ones. Hey, they're right here that I'm working with. And we're really kind of diving in. We're diving in to get to know different traumas, different programmings, different things that are kind of affecting and kind of sitting in our system, in our physical and energetic body. And we're starting to get to know these programmings, and we're starting to get to know those parts, those wounded parts, and we're starting to have a relationship with them. And if you want to actually watch a video where I walked myself through a similar process where I walked my clients, obviously with my clients it's a little bit different because I also add energy healing, which kind of bring things to the surface and help them see more visuals and help them really connect with more of the energy, if that makes sense. I watch this video here. You can really kind of like see the process. I also made a PDF there that you can kind of download and see. I would really appreciate any feedback. If you have any specific topic that you would really like me to like expand on and go deeper on, something that maybe doesn't, you feel like you're curious, but it's something is just not making sense to you, just comments. I would be interested to know what your thoughts are. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in.